as a person of color in that, especially in that particular, like where Confederate flags abound.
This is America.
I have a dream.
These are animals.
America preaches integration and practices segregation.
Why did you say Mexico?
A rising tide of discontent.
The South will rise again.
I have a dream.
We have contrasting visions about what America is.
This is America.
Welcome, everybody. We're talking about the Bubba Wallace scenario with him reporting this noose with the FBI investigation saying it's not a noose and all the backlash that he's gotten from that. So people are calling him Jussie Wallace. Yeah. What do you think about that? Is it reference to Jussie Smollett and the thing that his wild fabrication? What are your thoughts about that?
I think about something that you often say. I mean, when you talk about like people are just waiting to pounce on people. Again, man, like there's no humanity in our approach, right? It's like we all want it to be a false alarm, right? Like that's the desired outcome, is that it's a false alarm, right? We don't want dude to be in danger. But when you live in the reality that we live in, like I got some hate message trolls on one of my like Facebook pages today. I got a call as I was riding my bike before we got on the show saying, hey, like, you know, we got some folks trolling us and saying some really like go back to Africa type stuff. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do with that? It's crazy because you deal with that stuff. And I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff he hasn't reported, right? There's a lot of experiences that he's had that never made the news, that he just chalked it up, right? I mean, we go back to like Tiger Woods, his experience as a golf is the best golfer in the world, right? And, you know, dudes that are on tour with him saying things like, you know, bringing up chicken references and eating chicken and stuff like that. Like that's stuff that somebody was stupid enough to say live and in front of a camera. All the stuff that you deal with in those spaces when the camera's not around, for him to like be demonized for being nervous, you know what I mean, about that, I'm like, you know, it's par for the course. You know what I mean? For the Tiger Woods reference, right? It's par for the course. Like that is who we are at the end of the day. We really get off and we really feel like we're doing something well when we hit somebody really hard in that way. And it's just, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know why we are sitting there waiting for an opportunity to hammer somebody over the head. And that's like, if we're talking size, that's like nobody can hold their head up high and chest out saying that they don't do that, because people from all sides of the perspective like do that, and you're just waiting your turn for payback. So that's the frustration I have with these subject matters. Like my heart goes out to him. He's the person living this in real time. I know what it's like to be the only person of color in white spaces. And I know how uncomfortable that is. And I know the weight of that. I don't know what it's like to actually feel endangered in some of those spaces in real time. I haven't had somebody put a noose or me see something that like looks like a noose. I don't know what that is, what that's like. I do know what it's like to be a black man in these United States, and how frustrating it is to have to tell somebody time and time again lived experiences that I've had when it comes to interactions with the police, or when it comes to, you know, my 11th grade economics teacher telling me a very racist joke when I was living in Texas. Like I have lived those experiences, and it's frustrating to have to share those to validate yourself, because you relive it when you share that stuff. So that's kind of like my heart goes out to him in the space. What are your thoughts on this?
There's a couple other things that are interesting to me that I want to get into in a second. One is the fact that, so Bubba Wallace is part of the reason why they're not doing Confederate flags anymore at NASCAR. And that's a whole, I think that ties into what we're getting ready to talk about next. But the other piece of it is that from the time that the FBI investigation went down to now, there's been a North Carolina racetrack that people are pulling back from because they were selling what they call Bubba rope. And you could take that in a lot of different ways. You could take, like, they're literally selling like a portion of rope and calling it Bubba rope. So you could take it as they're just mocking him. You could take it as they're selling this to kind of put in people's minds this idea of lynching. And I think depending on your perspective, you're probably more likely to take it one way or the other. I think for me, to your point earlier, he has expressed relief in the fact that it wasn't a noose, that it was there, that it is this garage pole thing. I think one of the things that we don't appreciate about each other enough is that my experiences in life help to create the lenses in which I view everything that comes across my path. And so for me, like as a person of color in that, especially in that particular, like where Confederate flags abound, it's interesting that people want to like not talk about like slavery was so long ago. Well, damn, the Confederacy was like 5 small years, and that was a long time ago. You guys still like want to wave the flag, so which is it? Are we done? Are we like, should we just leave this in the past or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so like if this and this, like to what the flag that we have now, this is a rebellious flag, like a rebel flag that people still want to raise. And so, and call themselves patriots. So that like, there's just like this kind of ironic dynamic happening here that like, look, we want, but there's still like, he's being crucified for this kind of stuff. So this is the thing that I want to talk about, really understanding and appreciating. I appreciate the lenses in which, like, being in that scenario, what you would see, like, okay, that's a garage, like it's a pull chain, it's a pull loop for a pull rope for the garage. I completely understand. It makes 100% sense to me that he would view that as a noose in that setting, in the setting that we're currently in the United States. That makes 100% sense to me. So I just think that we need to pump our brakes a little more and think like, man, if you went in there in this climate right now, in that specific climate in the US, like put yourself in his shoes. I just don't think we put ourselves in each other's shoes enough. And I think this is a great opportunity for that. I am disappointed by the reaction that he's been getting by the people that are taking this as an opportunity to just get their points, get their rocks off and whatnot.